Ready, set, go.
Hello, and welcome to another album reaction. I'm very excited about this one. We are listening, of course, to Breach by 21 Pilots. This has been out for a couple months now, but I was doing other shit. I was doing other stuff. The new Doty album came out. I've been busy, okay? I got diagnosed with autism, alright? I've been doing some things, alright? So, if you were on my case just now while watching the first 10 seconds of this video, you can get off my case as of this time. Thank you. A couple of differences between how I'm approaching this album as to how I did with Clancy. Literally before I started recording this video, I sat down and watched both the I Am Clancy lore video and the I Am Torchbearer video. So I'm pretty much caught up. I'm not gonna worry about all the Easter eggs. I'm not gonna worry about watching entire music videos. It doesn't really tend to fly with YouTube's content tagging system. I just wanted to get the bare facts. So up until this point, we've got Tyler Joseph's character, Clancy, is this guy that's just in this endless cycle of trying to escape Dima, get away from Nico, aka Blurryface, keeps getting brought back. But he's also unique in that he is the only person that can do the weird body snatching thing that Nico and his cohorts are able to do. So he's got a little bit of a chosen one situation going on. Torchbearer, being Josh Dunn's character, seems to be sort of the leader of the resistance, the banditos. And so the last album, Clancy, ended with this big final push against Nico and the Niners, and Clancy having a final confrontation with Nico specifically, which is why you get the line, "Hello again, Clancy." That's Nico coming to get him again. Then the Torchbearer video was told from the point of the Torchbearer, Josh Dunn's character, and so I guess they're making one final prison break against Clancy, I think, is what's happening, to get him out and destroy the Niners or whatever we're gonna do. Music-wise, I'm still gonna be approaching this album as someone that is not terribly familiar with the lore or how it's been expressed by 21 Pilots' social media posts and things. I've not been privy to that. So I'm not paying a whole lot of attention to it. I've just got some reference for the storyline that people have been following up until now. I will mostly be reading these songs as songs that you would hear on the radio outside of the context of a story with lore and obscure references and things, because that's how most people would listen to an album. As someone that's listened to a lot of albums from bands with lore, I've learned how to sort of toe the line between the two interpretations of reading the song lyrics with lore and reading the song lyrics as a song out in the real world. So we'll see how we do with that. We've got 13 tracks, just under 50 minutes long. I did hear, as far as the actual production of this album, this was not originally going to be a full other album. I was talking to my friend Cass when my band was in Edmonton last year. Go follow Rougarou if you're not already doing that. And they told me that basically I think Tyler Joseph was planning on doing sort of a director's cut edition, like an extended sort of version of Clancy that had those extra concluding story beats to the album. And he was talking about this to, I think it was like a waitress at a restaurant or something, and they were like, oh, right, like an extended edition or like a deluxe version. And I guess that idea rubbed Tyler the wrong way. Like a deluxe edition sounded a little bit too commercialist, too capitalist for his tastes. And so he was like, well, maybe I'll just write a whole new album. And here we are. About a year or so, almost 2 years after Clancy released, we get Breach. Tyler did have about this album. He was on, I think, a podcast or some interview show, and he said, high school sucked. I want life to be better than that. I personally didn't like high school, and so I was kind of just like, man, I want to get better as a person and a musician, and we should always be growing, he shares. I think there's a lot of data collected through touring and playing shows and putting out albums and seeing people's responses that you just don't have in the early days. And I think that it's hopefully collecting the right data to create the right songs and put together the right set list to play a show and just making something that we love. I'm including the double that because it sounds like they were just recording a stutter, which I find charming. That, you know, that the people really love. I think it'll be our best album, which is pretty ambitious final thought there. They think this will be their best album. They've had some good albums. They've had some other albums, but they've had some good ones. And I did like Clancy quite a bit, and I don't expect this album to sound a whole lot different, considering this was originally just going to be an extension of that album. So looking forward to hearing a lot of the same sounds, a lot of the same. We're getting back into some of that crunchy bass sound that we have been getting a little bit more of since Scaled and Icy. So I'm looking forward to getting into this. Let's listen to City Walls. I'm assuming, lore-wise, this is about breaking back through the city walls. Ooh. Oh, there's that bass. Hello, Tyler. Ooh, alright, nice. Layered bass riff. There's Josh. Okay. Ooh. Nice, okay. Very good. Ooh. Alright, that's a 21 Pilots ass beat right there. Very good. The sounds remind me of when they did like a live stream like a year or two ago, and Tyler was talking about like the early days of the band and how he was recording most of his like vocal parts in his basement, and so he just like pulled up a bunch of those old like vocal takes and just little sound bites that he would throw into their music and just be like, yeah, so this is what my parents would be listening to, you know, in middle of the afternoon, and it's just a bunch of sound bites of him just going, yeah, no, yeah. And now in demonstrating that, I have to subject my housemates to the same thing, and they have to watch this video in order to get the context. So if you're watching this and you're one of my housemates, that's what was happening. All right. With me, I can take you right, throw a left. All right. With me, I'ma take you right to the chest. Okay. Warm path etched in the surface. Lines of the yellow tape, they're moving quiet like a serpentine. Nice. Okay. But it acts my team pretty impatient. Now they're waiting on me. It might be the furthest we've reached. Now move it up. It's a breach. It's a breach. It sure is. Ooh. That's a cool G sound. All right. That verse sounded very similar to what I'm pretty sure was the first track on Clancy was Overcompensate. I think Overcompensate was the first track, and the sort of meter and flow of that first verse felt very, very similar to Overcompensate, which makes sense because both are sort of the introductory tracks to their respective albums and are sort of catching us up on where things are at.
Square up with me, I can come to you. Tell me when. Pair up with me,
right.
I can run on you.
Slowing it down a bit.
Promise and pencil, but my loyalties and pen. Use a mistake as a crooked stencil, then we trace it back again. From the mainland to the island of violence. The same plan for
Island of Violence. I know that reference.
You out of your seat, you see in a city with no entrance, there is not a retreat. Wondering what you thought would happen, who you thought I would be. Was this a side swipe, or did you picture this in a dream? Buckle down, this is possibly the furthest we've reached. Now move it up, it's a breach.
It is. Dropping it out for the bridge. A little bit of muffled piano. Ooh. There's Josh. Ooh, I like the sound of that snare.
My smile wraps around my head.
That's an interesting meter there. What are we entertaining? I think I know what it is because I'm reading the lyrics. Yeah! Ooh, we're making like at least a few Vessel references here. That's very interesting that we're sort of bringing it all back to the beginning of the narrative. That's very, very neat. Ooh, we got some screaming in the back. Ooh, I like those hits. Ooh. Interesting. I'm sorry. Wait. I'm sorry. The sounds at the end, that's Heavy Dirty Soul, my friends. Think you couldn't sneak that in there? You think I wouldn't be able to recognize Heavy Dirty Soul? You think that wasn't the second 21 Pilots album that I listened to when I got into them? My first album was Vessel. I don't know if we've covered this before, but the Vessel was the album that got me into 21 Pilots. I got into them in like 2014-ish, which was very lucky timing for me because Blurryface came not shortly after. And at the time, I was a big fan of that album. It has since maybe not aged perfectly, but I liked it at the time, and I recognize that those sounds very, very well. Are we getting cyclical here? Are we still not breaking out of this cycle? What's going on here? You can always count on the about sign or the about section of a 21 Pilots song to lay things out for you. City Walls brings the Dima storyline to an end, closing the decade-long narrative while launching the band into a new chapter. Oh, so this is the last... This song ends the narrative? What's the rest of the freaking album about then? Please hold. I'm gonna go watch that music video. I realize that sometimes music videos are important to 21 Pilots lore, and I think just so that I know what's happening, I'll watch this one, and then we'll carry on. Okay. Damn. That's not the ending I expected. And honestly, I respect them a lot for that. That's a really dark ending. Damn. If you haven't seen it in the music video, this whole song spans sort of the final fight between Clancy and Nico, and Nico freaking kicks his ass. Nico freaking destroys him. Punches him so hard that he gets sent back to the past settings of music videos, like the burning car from Heavy Dirty Soul, the freaking canyon from, I think, Jumpsuit. There's the camp from Levitate, and just kicks his ass through every dimension into 10 years ago. And then finally grabs these weird in-antlers that Clancy's been using to use the weird body snatching ability. Just stabs Clancy with both of them. And all the while, Torchbearer and all of his friends trying to get up to him. And by the time they do, Clancy is exploded by using the I can't remember how to do it. The logo that they've had on their album covers for a very, very long time. And then by the time they get up to Clancy, he grabs one of the red robes from Nico, who is now vaporized, just destroyed, puts it on himself, and then starts handing out the other Niners' red robes to the other banditos that are with Torchbearer, who is nah, this ain't for me. I'm leaving. And there's Clancy becomes the new Nico, and these other banditos become the new Niners, I guess. And then Torchbearer is it's all right. That's not Clancy anymore. There'll be another Clancy, which I don't know how that works. And we'll be back. So for the ending to a literally decade-long narrative that they've been painting, that's pretty bleak. That's real bleak. But I respect them for doing it. It takes a lot of chutzpah to not have a happy ending. And I'm curious as to what their reasoning was for that. We're gonna try and look at some of these lyrics now, but it's gonna be interesting as to what we spend the rest of this album doing. I don't know what happens in the rest of this album. We've now got a whole album of 21 Pilots music that, as far as I'm aware, won't have anything to do with lore, which is nice. Personally, I have a hard time believing that Vessel, despite, now being a part of the lore, I have a hard time believing that they wrote that album with an awareness of the lore. I'm willing to be surprised, but I feel like the beginning of the actual sort of world building started with Blurryface, and then they sort of retconned Vessel into that, which is fine. It's your music, it's your art. You can do whatever you want with it. See what we're looking at. Verse 1. Square up with me, I can take your right, throw a left. Pair up with me, I'm gonna take you right to the chest. Warpath etched in the surface. Lines of the yellow tape, they're moving quiet like a serpent. Teen in a formation, buddy, that's my team, pretty impatient. Now they're waiting on me, it might be the furthest we've reached. Now move it up, it's a breach. I'm guessing this is told from Clancy's perspective of duking it out. with Nico, being like, yeah, let's go. I can take your punches. Meanwhile, he knows that his friends are coming up to meet him, and they're hurrying. Chorus, I wonder where you are. I wanted you to show me the way around those city walls, the way on through. I wonder where you are. I wanted you to show me, but now the night has fallen, abandoned by the sun. Now, there's a way to go about this, both about these specific lyrics and also a way to interpret the lore that we've been working with, apparently. The city of Dima that we've been established, that the story's been sort of set in for this whole time, is ruled by Nico, who both sort of uses their power of taking over someone's dead body, and also running this religion that sort of glorifies self-sacrifice, which, if you don't have the history or the upbringing to notice those narrative parallels, sounds a lot like an interpretation of like a fictionalized critique of Christianity, or at least modern Christianity. Resurrection of dead bodies, and also about sacrificing yourself to this higher cause, with no clear benefit to you, save for some sort of theoretical afterlife. And so, with relation to that, to the chorus, this chorus sort of feels like an outcry to God, like trying to fall back on those religious beliefs and those beliefs failing. Like, I wonder where you are. I wanted you to show me the way around those city walls, the way on through, but now the night has fallen, abandoned by the sun. Wanted you to show me the way around those city walls. City walls being like, I wanted you to show me like how to like navigate this complicated, scary world. But now the night has fallen, abandoned by the sun. And whenever I hear abandoned by the sun, if we're going from a religious, sort of subtext, that can either say abandoned by the sun in that it's gotten dark, or abandoned by the sun referring to Jesus, is one take on it. 21 Pilots have historically been known as sort of not necessarily a Christian band, but a band that has, like, Tyler Joseph has written a lot of religious references into their music. Faith has been a part of his life for a very, very long time, and a lot of their songs could be considered to be written about or to God. If we're sort of applying that history and that subtext to this song, this feels like a bit of a crisis of faith. Verse 2. Square up with me, I can come to you, tell me when. Pair up with me, I can run on you in the end. I write a promise in pencil, but my loyalty's in pen. I use a mistake as a crooked stencil, then we trace it back again. From the mainland to the island of violence, it was the same plan for a while. Decided to send me up and rip you out of your seat. You see, in a city with no entrance, there is not a retreat. I'm wondering what you thought would happen, who you thought I would be. Was this a side swipe, or did you picture this in a dream? Buckle down, this is possibly the furthest we've reached. Now move it up, it's a breach. Still feels like it's from probably Clancy's perspective, lore-wise. Write a promise in pencil, but my loyalty's in pen. Promise in pencil, but loyalty's in pen implies that maybe, like, promises only mean so much. This could be read as just, like, trash-talking Nico. It was the same plan for a while, decided to send me up and rip you out of your seat. Like, we've been planning to take you down for a hot minute now. This is a city with no entrance, so we have no plans of retreating. Like, we're coming for you whether we live or die. And now sort of being like, and now I'm here. I don't know what you expected of me. I don't know what you thought I was going to be. Did you see this coming, or have you been planning for my arrival just as long as I have? Like, was this a sideswipe, a surprise thing, or did you picture this in a dream? Buckle down, possibly the furthest we've reached. So yeah, very much like a come on, sort of a trash talk. Here we are, let's do this. Then the bridge, which is my smile wraps around my head, splitting it in two. I don't have a clue how I can keep the top half glued. So this is, in the music video, this is after Clancy's been very stabbed. Twice stabbed. Stabbings akimbo, you might say. This annotation here says, this is a clear reference to Goner when Tyler says, I've got two faces, Blurry's the one I'm not. And furthermore, I need your help to take him out. Tyler's head is split in two by his presumably fake or performative smile, giving him two halves. Halves, he seems to feel, are rapidly splitting to such an extent he doesn't know how to keep them together. Thus, also his asking for help in Goner, which sits weirdly in the timeline that we're sort of in the same state in two different parts of the timeline, but I'm not going to worry about that. But just at face value, as I'm also trying to do, smile wraps around my head, splitting it in two. So the act of smiling, the effort of smiling, as wide as he is trying to do, is also causing harm to himself, and he doesn't know how long he can keep up that performative smile. And he's not really sure how things are going to go when that smile breaks or breaks him. Which then leads to the outro, which is repeating that until he finally screams, entertain my faith, which is, of course, which is very much a reference to their song Holding On To You from Vessel, which is one of my personal favorite 21 Pilots songs, period. And it's always been this, like, begging for God, especially if we're talking about faith, to just sort of give some sort of confirmation, some sort of justification or validation or vindication or another V word-ication to make him feel solid in his faith. Perhaps the same faith that he's been forced into or sort of manipulated into following while living in Dima. But also just whatever faith have you. And then says, this is the last time. And then at the very end, after repeating it a bit, this is the last time that I try. So we're ending it at the beginning of the story. Again, this is a very, very cyclical narrative, and I guess the decade-long conclusion, or the conclusion to this decade-long story, is to perpetuate that cycle, which is kind of tragic to me, but I think it fits in kind of a sad way. 21 Pilots' music has both been about faith, and largely a lot of their music has been about mental health and emotional health, particularly mental health. Tyler has been very, very candid in both his music and just talking on podcasts and interviews about his struggles with depression and suicidal thoughts and ideation. It's well documented in their music. A lot of their music is considered sort of anti-suicide music, from more explicit songs like Friend Please from their first album, all the way through the rest of their discography. So the fact that this story, this very, very long story, ends in the same state of we gotta go help Clancy / Tyler, is this very, very poignant and sad sort of confirmation of like, yeah, he's come a long way, but in the same sense, he's only gotten so much better. He still needs a dedicated, group of people. He still needs a support system to come and get him when he slips back into darkness, and that darkness can take different forms. Looking at it that way, I like that as an ending. And a lot of like modern stories, we like a happy ending, you know? It feels satisfying. It feels validating to ourselves, like whatever fears and conflict is being hashed out in that story that we connect with, we like to be shown that there is a solution to those things. And for Josh and Tyler to end the story and say we haven't really found one, I think is a very honest and fitting end. I think to have this end in a big victory and everything's fine now would maybe feel a little disingenuous, a little inauthentic to what they've been trying to communicate about mental health the whole time that they've been making music, which is that in a lot of cases you can't just have a big, beautiful final victory over those things, that it is a constant battle that you can't win on your own, but it is worth fighting. So now that I've been recording for 45 minutes, not accounting for watching the whole music video while still recording, we can move on to track 2. Ain't that just the freaking way with these things? Let's keep going to track 2, all caps, one word, RAWFEAR. I guess moving from the dark ending of the Clancy narrative just into some straight up unrelated RAWFEAR. There it is. Ooh. Screaming? Screeching? Both? I like it. Ooh. That's weird, but it's a bad texture, but I like it. Okay. Okay. Life is just forever gripping feels, never slowing down. You know what scares me? What? Not stupid. Tell me. You've met my fears, I suppose. Okay. Wait, who's the new kid? It's just me. You know what kills me? What? Not getting stronger. Ah. Now I can't seem to sit still any longer. Alright. Alright, we got a nice little bop today. Alright. Life is just forever gripping feels, never slowing down. I like the feel of this one. All right. Okay, I've got a theory. Following with the lyrics, I think this song might be a bit of an explanation for the ending that we just got. This song feels like Tyler kind of being like, hey, so you're probably coming right out of city walls. You might have some questions as to why we chose the ending that we did. I present this song. Chorus is RAWFEAR moves me. Sounds of empty Uzis. Life is just forever nipping heels, never slowing down. So he's sort of... he's like, let me explain. I live life in a constant state of fear. Life is just never really given me a break. Never seemed to slow down. It's been a bad time. I've had a hard go of it. Despite having a very, very successful musical career, that doesn't really soften the blows of what's been going on in the old brain bucket. Moving into the verse, You know what scares me? Nah, it's stupid. You've met my fears, they're all regulars. Wait, who's the new kid? You know what kills me? Not getting any stronger. And now I can't seem to sit still any longer. I think that first verse and the chorus are this immediate explanation for the ending that we just got with City Walls. Tyler basically being like, it would be dishonest for me to have a final, satisfying, happy ending to the Clancy story, because that is not what I'm living. What I'm living is I haven't gotten a whole lot stronger. I haven't built up much more of an immunity, which we'll get into later with the bridge. Not getting any stronger immunity to my to the things that I struggle with, to my mental health struggles. And now I can't seem to sit still any longer. So that inability to sort of build up a resistance to things has sort of turned him back into his own worst enemy, perhaps like Clancy turning into Nico. But now that I've said that, I'm going to mostly stop talking about lore. Mostly. When we get into the bridge. Learning all that really matters is a slow and painful lesson. It is not pass or fail, but a poisonous progression. Try to microdose to immunity, but you'll never ever get it. And I go, what's the matter isn't helping. You go, ooh. I wish her parents would stop yelling. I could build a tower with the times I was pretending, try to microdose to immunity, but I'll never see the ending. And then repeats other parts of the song. The one last time that I am going to talk about the lore is that verse, I could build a tower with the times I was pretending. In the music video, the fight between Nico and Clancy takes place at the top of the tower. So that sort of imagery would be fresh in our mind when we hear this verse, if we are in fact listening to the album all in one shot. We get this image of a tower that has been built with all of the times that Tyler or Clancy or what have you has tried to ignore the severity of his condition. Try to microdose to immunity, but never see the ending. You could try and say that he's been steadily building up a resistance to it, but that would be dishonest to him and us. It's in that tower that this tragic duel between Clancy and Nico takes place. It's in this tower of this history of performative improvement is where this fight happens. And maybe it's because of that tower that, in this case, Clancy loses the fight. Is just one angle on it. But yeah, for the most part, that was a bop. That was a very nice sort of like groovy transition away from the storytelling. And I'm very excited for this full immersion into just straight up 21 Pilots music. Don't need to worry about what it means for Clancy. We're just gonna read the next song as itself. Imagine that. What a concept. We're listening to Drum Show, which is one of the big singles that got released for this album that I have been struggling to resist listening to before the whole album came out, because as a drummer, I love me a good drum show. And so I've been very excited to hear about this drum show. Ooh, there's that bass again. Okay. Nice, okay. Very fun. Nice, alright. Ooh, with the halftime. Oh, that's fun. I like that riff.
Completed checklist for today.
Okay.
Now they have to let you out of your cage.
Alright.
Feeling stuck between a rock and a home. Two places you do not want to go. So.
Okay.
He's putting on a drum show.
Hell yeah.
Even now, he'll take the longer way home. Even now, he'll never ever say so. He drives fast just to feel it. He drives slow if his song's not over.
Oh!
Drown it out. Show.
Ooh, with the classic punk rhythm there. So, something I appreciate about this song and just the fact that it's called Drum Show, like you read that title and then you listen to this and you're like, all right, the song is called Drum Show. I should probably be listening to the drums in the song. And lo and behold, this is some rock solid Josh Dunn drumming, some Josh drumming, if you will. I'm gonna get through the whole song before I get into the lyrics, obviously, but I have a feeling this feels just like a little love song, an homage, an ode, if you will, to Mr. Dunn, which is so lovely. After a whole story that's been very centered around Tyler Joseph's character, it's nice to have a little moment, at least, of appreciation for the other member of 21 Pilots. It's refreshing. Hi, Josh. It's great to hear you. Oh my goodness. He's got a good voice. Ooh! Oh, that's... Ooh! Oh, that's good.
He's putting on a drum show.
He sure freaking is.
Even now,
Oh!
he'll take the longer way home. Even now,
I love the screaming.
he drives fast just to feel it. He drives slow if his song's not over. Drown it out.
Ooh, a little bit of a synth solo. Very nice. Nice. Oh. Oh. That was wonderful. Good job, Josh. Great job on the drums and the vocals. That was lovely. Drum show. I think this song might be about our boy Josh, Mr. Dunn. He said on a BBC radio show, I think the idea is like high school, college, sort of like angst when you're driving to and from school or work, and music is kind of the only thing that you've got, and sometimes you've just got to get out all the aggression on the steering wheel. So specifically, just like hammering it out in your car, like drumming on the steering wheel. That's lovely. I love that. But also, even outside of like drumming on the steering wheel, there's a lot of this that I relate to as just when I sit down to play drums, just in general. If it wasn't obvious, drums can be a very, very cathartic instrument to play. Playing a whole drum kit is so satisfying when you know what you're doing, and it's a really nice way of just getting out whatever built up tension and frustration you might have. If you're looking for a nice, healthy, safe way to unleash some of your pent-up rage and frustration and aggression. Can't recommend drums highly enough. Might not solve the whole problem, but it'll simply do it'll certainly do something. First verse. Complete a checklist for today. Now they have to let you out of your cage. Feeling stuck between a rock and a home, two places you do not want to go. Then the pre-chorus. So he's putting on a drum show. Then we have the chorus, which is even now, he'll take the longer way home. Even now, he'll never say so. He drives fast just to feel it. He drives slow if his song's not over. Drown it out. Giving himself that private time to sort of let out whatever energy he hasn't been able to get out in daily life, whether you're going to school or you're at home or you're at work and you're just not able to really relax. Maybe frustrating things happen during your day, but you're not able to deal about it or talk to anyone about it. And so you use those few moments of solitude in your car on your way to and from wherever you're coming and going, to just let it out on the steering wheel, giving yourself a little bit of a drum show for yourself. That's great. That's its own kind of self-care, I think. Verse 2, he'd rather feel nothing. He'd rather feel something than nothing at all. So he swerves all around as his head starts to fall, turns it up, stuck between a rock and a home, two places he does not want to go. Rather feel something than nothing at all. So maybe you're hitting the steering wheel or the drums a little bit harder than you need to. But I think that's better than being totally numb about it. So maybe you're putting the rest of your head into it. Maybe your head's rocking around. I do often have a habit as a drummer of, like, when I get really into it, when I'm not necessarily focused, but just sort of in a certain zone, I tend to sort of end up with my head very low while I'm drumming, and it's not conducive to better drumming. Usually, especially if you're playing with a band, you want to be able to see what the rest of the band is playing, but sometimes you just get into that state where you're just sort of very internalized and you're just playing to yourself, and that's fair. Then the bridge, where we get to hear Josh's lovely little vocals. I've been this way. I want to change. Which is pretty self-explanatory. Maybe this sort of release is not really what Josh wants to be doing. Maybe he wants to be able to put that energy into something more productive, and doesn't really know how to do that. And I wish him the best in figuring out what that is. Maybe it is putting it into his actual drumming. I'm sure we would appreciate that channeling of that energy into their music, if he hasn't already been doing that. I'm sure he has. That's Drum Show. That's a contender for favorite track. We're only 3 tracks in, but that's definitely a contender so far. Let's keep going. Track 4, Garbage. We singing about garbage? Are we Oscar the Grouch? What's this garbage about? What's the garbage? You didn't do what? What did you not do? Tyler, what did you not do? Alright. Okay. Oh, okay. Fair enough. Yeah, I feel that. Yeah. Okay. That's unfortunate.
I can't decide if I could feel more, or I just knew less when I was younger. Bright-eyed with wonder. Do you know which name it's under? I'm biting down on my shirt sleeve, like I lash out, lash out, lash out. Don't give up on me.
Okay. I wasn't going to. I wasn't planning on giving up on you. Okay. Alright. Alright. Well, I don't know how much talking we're gonna have to do about this song. This is about a time, whether short or extended period, where Tyler probably felt like garbage. Seems to be what this is, as indicated by literally the first line of the first verse, which is in fact, I feel like garbage. I feel like that's pretty self-explanatory. I feel like my systems are operating at 20% or less. I'll walk you through the numbers. I'll show you nothing's left. Seems to me Tyler's having a bad time, or at least he wrote this song about having a real bad time. Moving to the chorus, I'm biting down on my shirt sleeve. I'll lash out if you're in arm's reach. I'm so lost, like what is happening? I feel like garbage. Biting down on my shirt sleeve is an interesting addition. Annotation says Tyler often bites on his shirt sleeves, and it is believed that him doing so is a form of grounding himself when anxious or overwhelmed. However, he has personally never addressed why he does it. Grounding might be a way of putting it. Everyone's got their little things that they do when they're feeling tense or frustrated or just not in a good state of mind. Personally, when I'm feeling bad, when my brain is sort of shutting down or locking up, I do the grabby hands, amongst other things, depending on how I'm feeling, what emotions I'm experiencing. But everyone's got their thing. Maybe you snap your fingers. Maybe you do the grabby hands. Maybe you got the bouncy knee. Maybe it's a combination of things. Everyone's got their thing. Tyler's thing might be biting on the shirt sleeves. Fair enough. Whatever keeps you in touch with the physical world. Verse 2. I can't decide if I could feel more or I just knew less. When I was younger, bright-eyed with wonder, do you know which name it's under? This is getting into the thing of like when you feel really, really bad, it starts to make you feel like you've always felt this bad, or you don't know how to get back to feeling the way you used to feel. You start to think about like the golden ages, this fictional time in your life when you felt perfect or just generally way better than you do now. And so you start to fantasize about this nostalgic younger state, that in that current garbage state feels like a whole other person. Hence the do you know which name it's under? Feels like it's got a different name than the person you were before. Then the bridge, would you move closer if I grew quieter? Maybe this is you. Maybe you don't fix, and you like it like this. So this could be addressing a few different possible people. Could be addressing a loved one. Could be addressing his wife. Like if I got quiet, would you then feel safe to like move closer and get closer to me? And maybe that would actually help. Maybe this is you. Maybe getting quieter is you just being around. The maybe this is you starts to make you wonder, is this God? Which then leads into the next line, maybe you don't fix. Maybe God doesn't actually save you. Maybe you'll like it like this. Maybe it's preferred that you are in your broken state to remind you of how much you need saving. Might be these are thoughts that are being had in this very low state. But it does create this tension of like, do you want people to draw near to you because you don't know how you're gonna react to that, or you don't know. There are all of these thoughts of like ulterior motives of like, why are they drawing near to you, or do they even want to? Are they just doing it out of obligation? There are lots of things like that can go through your head when you're feeling very, very down on yourself. You feel like someone that is not worth helping, right? Maybe not worth fixing. Which then leads us to the second half of the outro, which is just Tyler screaming, "Don't give up on me, no, 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 please, please, please," which is, I think it took me a second to realize how powerful that is. It reminds me a lot of the ending of Trees, where he's just sort of like screaming hello, like just in the same way, this like call for help, this like begging and pleading not to be abandoned, even though he's, he may be a somewhat difficult person to be around at the time. Just saying, please, please do not leave me. Don't give up on me, because that will probably make things worse. So that's garbage. Well, not the song. The song is called Garbage, but that was not a garbage song. That was a good song. We're gonna keep going to The Contract, which is the other single that they released for this album, which I have had an easier time resisting the urge to listen to, but only a little bit less easier than Drum Show. Let's hear about this Contract. Ooh. Alright. Some very quick, very crispy drums. Ooh. Okay.
I check the doors, check the windows, and pull the blinds. I check the clock, wondering what he'll pull this time. I have a feeling that necromancer's outside, and I'm just trying to stay
quiet. Wait a minute. Alright.
I don't sleep much, that's crazy. How'd you know that? I keep myself up, that's maybe how you know that. Ooh, promises and contracts. I used to see.
Okay. Yes, it did. Ooh, okay. Ooh, oh, this one's heavy. Okay. Damn. Ooh, alright, halftime. Ooh. A little bit of a shuffle there, I like it. Alright. Ooh. Oh, hello. Alright, a little bit of a drum and bass break here.
I don't sleep much, that's crazy. How'd you know that? I'll keep myself up, that's maybe how you know that. And contracts. I used to see.
Ooh. Ooh. Oh, I like that. Okay, no, you could have kept another round of that going. The little synth line there. Okay, there it is. Oh, I like that a lot. That's a cool texture right there. Interesting. Alright, I had a feeling we're not done with the lore. Alright, let's take a look here, because there's a couple of things in here especially considering this was the other single for the album before it released. I feel like this one might be lore related. Okay, so I'm gonna do the same thing that I did for City Walls. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna watch a music video just to learn, just so that I have the information. This might be a 2-day album video. I want to have the information because at this point I am curious. I haven't been curious up until this point, but now I am curious. All right?
Pay attention. I check the doors, check the windows, and roll the floors. I check the clock, wondering what he'll pull this on. I have a feeling that the romance is outside, and I'm just trying to stay quiet.
Okay, so this one does in fact take place before City Walls, directly before. The whole music video takes place in Clancy's mind, I think was the intention there. Takes place in his mind as Nico is sort of like corrupting him. And at the end of the video, Tyler and Josh, who are both in Clancy's mind, they get sort of Thanos snapped away, and then Tyler comes back out of the shadows with some neat little red highlights, and hands the sort of red strapped jacket to Clancy. So this is either right at the start of the fight, or it's right near the end of the fight where he's like actually successfully corrupting Clancy. This is why I didn't bother, is because it's not clear, and either answer might have some sort of, implication for the meaning of the thing. But in the pre-chorus, which the song starts with, we got, I check the doors, check the windows, and pull the blinds. I check the clock, wondering what he'll pull this time. I have a feeling that Necromancer's outside, and I'm just trying to stay quiet. Necromancer, obviously referring to Nico. I have a feeling that Necromancer's outside is actually quite a funny line when you consider the fact that the song is being played inside his mind. So he's just like, I got a feeling that Nico is out there, while Nico is in fact standing in front of him, choking him. So yeah, I think he might be out there. And with the chorus being, I don't sleep much, that's crazy. How'd you know that? Keep myself up. Maybe that's maybe how you know that. Promises and contracts I used to keep. And they repeat those first two lines and then go to my hallucination I used to see. So I feel like this is the moment of Clancy kind of breaking under the pressure and being like, man, I used to be good at keeping promises, and I have not been in a great state because I don't sleep. I guess I will go ahead and continue to the verse, which is wake up and I find out did it change up? Wait, did it change up? Is the light out yet? Better find out, bet. Better walk around the edge of the room and the bed where I hide my face, pace around, better try to breathe, pace around, pace around. That verse sort of illustrating him just kind of getting up, checking to see if things are better, not actually doing anything, just walking around the room, trying to breathe, and then continuing to pace. So not actually doing anything about whether it's safe to do anything or not, just being like, is the light out? Better check. And then not actually really checking because he's hiding his face out of fear. So I feel like the song feels like maybe a bit of an indictment on Clancy. And while I said I wasn't gonna talk about the lore, but then they snuck in we're dealing with a non-linear structure for the narrative, which is fine. You can do that. You can arrange your songs and your story beat however the frick you want, and I just gotta deal with it. So that's fine. But now we're here, just slightly before the end, just having a whole song for this moment of final weakness with Clancy, and then the outro being, I used to see. It felt so real, but now I plead, just take the deal. I promised you a contract. And the I promised you a contract is said to the Torchbearer in the video, to Josh. So maybe this is sort of an apology, but also not really, just a statement of like, man, I definitely owe you. I sorry, little old me couldn't keep my promise, and now you just gotta take my word for it. It'll be okay. Just take the deal. Just deal with whatever happens. Sorry. I'm just a little guy who's gonna become the new bishop. Sorry. And that's kind of what I'm looking at here. But musically, that was a good time. This is feeling like a lot of very like standard 21 Pilots music. You know, it's a lot of the same like bass tone that we know from Tyler. It's very much the same drumming style that we get from Josh. These are two guys that know what they sound like and have gotten really, really good at it. So I like the way that they're sort of fitting their different musical tropes into this music, everywhere from sort of mid-chorus halftime breaks to the little like sort of crunched down, crispy like trap beat that you hear at the beginning of the song. They know what they sound like, and they've gotten damn good at it. Yeah, to that point, Tyler said in an interview with Zane Lowe of Apple Music, the other thing with this melody on the contract specifically, I've gotten to the point where as I'm singing melodies and working on a lyric and a point of view, I have my kind of go-to, my tools in the tool belt of how I would sing something or how I would melodically move throughout chords. And the song particularly, I was like, I need to just rethink what a good melody even is. You take exactly what came natural and you do the opposite. And so for me, the chorus of the contract, when I was first starting to sing over this chord progression, it was like, I've done this, I've heard this. Like, what if I were to jump up higher, quicker, and then come back down? And a previous version of me would never think I can go like this. As I'm seeing the melody drawn out, I would never have done that. And I just really forced myself to kind of rewire what I think a good melody even is. Okay, great. So they have been trying to sort of stretch themselves melodically, which that sort of like chord progression and melody element is not something that I'm great at picking up variation in necessarily. It's just not what my brain is drawn to. But I'm glad that Tyler is in fact challenging himself to not fully lean on, to use his words, his tools in the tool belt. I think that rhythmically and texture-wise, which is what I tend to notice first, it very much feels like a lot of what 21 Pilots has already done, but not necessarily in a bad way. It's a lot of the best parts of what they do. And that goes for the past tracks that we've been listening to already. Let's keep going. Track 6, Downstairs. We're going downstairs. We're going into the basement, or the crawl space, or the cellar. I don't know what you got in your lower floor. I'm currently in downstairs of our house. I live in the basement floor of our house. So I'm already downstairs, is what I'm trying to say. I'm way ahead of these guys. Ooh. 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 That's a good... Ooh, that feels cool. Alright. We're starting much more low-key than we've been. Very... very atmospheric. Ooh. Oh. Ooh. Okay, this melodically feels different. That you. Ooh, I like this. Ooh. Okay. All right. Ooh, I like the sparse drum. Ooh. Oh. Okay. All right, steady little kick.
I'm begging no mercy.
Before we get into the chorus, I do want to say, as someone that is trying to grow as the drumming part of the songwriting process in a band, one part of that growth has been learning when I don't need to be playing. Learning when it's more powerful to not have drums in a song, and when to make things more sparse, because it does force you to be more intentional and more specific about where you want to put the drums, when you do not assume that you always need drums to be heard, right? As soon as you accept that you don't always need to be playing, you then decide, okay, when does it matter that I am playing? At what points will I start playing that really make the difference? And that is something that, like, I think Josh has always been really good at. There's so many 21 Pilots songs where the emotional arc of a track is dictated by the drumming dynamics, and then the rest of the instrumentation built around that. And this song is a very good example of that. Ooh, that's what I'm talking about. Ooh. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Ooh, a little bit of a swing feel to that. Oh, that feels good. Ooh, interesting. Okay. Ooh. I love that. I love it when he screams.
Down there, get some shelter from the weather I wear. All of my heart on my sleeve. I'll take what I believe and I'm hiding it down.
All right.
I feel better in the cellar down.
Is that
Get some shelter from the weather I
is that a key change?
All of my heart
Oh.
on my sleeve.
If anything, he's given it a little bit more than he's been.
I'm hiding it downstairs. I feel better in the cellar down. Get some shelter from the weather. 'Cause I want to be the one after your own heart. doubt the process, like I doubt the start.
Very cool. I like that one a lot. That one might be a new favorite. Drum show's still in the running, but that hit real hard. Let's take a look at the about section here before we dive into things. There's a lot going on in this that makes it an interesting placement on this album. Downstairs is a heartfelt track about the metaphorical downstairs, a cellar in which the speaker hides his beliefs and emotions from others and possibly himself. With mentions of being unholy and crying out for mercy, the lyrics invoke religious imagery, like some of the band's other songs, and paint a picture of the shame felt from withdrawing from one's religion. Tyler says, "This is a 14-year-old demo. Has been living on Josh's computer for 14 years." Josh asks, "What if we finished the song? I thought it was crazy at first. It's an old song. I'm different now. I've changed. I finished it and realized it's an awesome song." It is an awesome song. And it definitely fits, certainly lyrically, maybe not sonically at this point. I don't know how it might have, I can only wonder how it might have sounded 14 years ago. They sounded very different 14 years ago. That's regional best era. Or not crazy different, but like mixing wise, they sounded very, very different. Half of the reason why a lot of the songs from that album ended up on Vessel. But with that in mind, that those lyrics would have been written, or at least some of those lyrics would have been written about 14 years ago. So this being a more religiously minded song makes sense. This might be sort of a like, woe is me, can God save me please kind of song. Like sort of a sad, like angsty worship song, if you will. And with that in mind, let's take a look at these lyrics. Verse 1, "You can have all I've made and all I've ever known. You can have both my lungs if you ask me so. Because I want to be the one after your own heart. And I might doubt the process like I doubted the start." So yeah, both my lungs if you ask me so. You can have all I've made and all I've ever known. Want to be the one after your own heart. After God's own heart is a common phrase, is often attributed to the character David in the Old Testament, was often referred to as a man after God's own heart. Chronicled in the Bible as himself a songwriter and a musician. For Tyler to draw that parallel between him and David, who also, come to think of it, chronicled some, struggles with mental health, struggles with feeling hopelessness even during his time as a king. I think it makes sense for Tyler to sort of form that connection between his sort of modern self and the character of David. Might doubt the process like I doubted the start. Yeah, if anyone tells you that like maintaining religious faith in the 21st century is easy, don't listen to them, because it's not. Anyone that tells you that it is just gonna make it more difficult. If you try and tell yourself that it's easy to not doubt your faith, that's actually gonna make it even more challenging to deal with those doubts. Speaking from personal experience. So then pre-chorus, begging, oh mercy. So basically being like, hey God, you can I'm attributing all the cool stuff that I've made to you, like it's yours. Citing that sort of self-sacrifice theme that we were getting from talking about the religion in Dima. Interesting. Maybe there's some ties there. Basically being like, hey God, I do want to be loyal to you. I do want to be pursuing, be a man after your own heart. Just be aware that I am gonna doubt that process. That pursuit is gonna be a bumpy one. It's gonna be a bumpy process from start to if there ever is a finish. Now that we've gotten that established, now that we've, put out that disclaimer of I'm gonna be bad at this, let me admit in the chorus, downstairs, I feel better in the cellar. Down there, it's some shelter from the weather. I wear all of my heart on my sleeve. I'll take what I believe, and I'm hiding it. So sometimes in this pursuit of faith, in this maintenance of one's faith, one might be compelled to escape a little bit, to hide away a little bit, hide your beliefs, hide your faith, get some reprieve from having to justify your beliefs, perhaps to other people or perhaps to yourself. Take what you believe and hide it for a bit. That's the weather, is those doubts that, may be plaguing you fairly consistently. Verse 2. Feeling like I'm nothing. Feeling like I'm run down. Was afraid of nothing. Now I'm just ashamed how I hide my face from you. Again, how I hide my face from you is another biblical reference, this time to Adam and Eve, who, in the creation story, Adam and Eve, if you're not aware, eat the forbidden fruit. Upon eating it, they realize that they're naked and feel ashamed for that. They cover themselves and then they hide away from God. And God is walking through the garden and being like, hey, why are you hiding yourselves from me? And they said, we were ashamed of our nakedness, when previously they were afraid of nothing. And now Tyler is taking that same shame of that fear of being seen, of being found out as a fraud, or of some sort of embarrassing truth. He hides himself from his faith, or hides his faith from himself or from others. Then we go through the pre-chorus and chorus again, into the bridge, which is another sort of lament. Oh, what have I become? Dirty and wretched one. Am I unholy land? Have I forced your hand? Again, pulling in some heavy religious language here, heavy religious imagery. Like the, oh, what have I become, dirty and wretched one, sounds like it's taken directly from like one of the Psalms, one of like David's cries out to God in his own felt brokenness. Am I unholy land? Have I forced your hand? Which is also another sort of Old Testament reference to the Israelites' sort of tumultuous relationship with the Old Testament God, and how he would occasionally, his hand would be forced into bringing them back into line. It's complicated. I got my own feelings about it. If you're hearing this and you belong to the Christian faith, don't take what I'm saying too terribly seriously, unless you decide to, in which case that's a conversation you and I can have. This is what I sense. This is the imagery and language that Tyler is using to express his own felt brokenness. And as someone with religious background and upbringing, it lands. I feel it. Maybe I don't relate to that crying out to God for redemption as much as I used to, but I do identify the feeling. I identify with that felt shame that you might have with that struggle to maintain faith. And that's Downstairs. I really like that one. Ironically, again, I don't relate necessarily to the sort of theme of the song as much as I used to, perhaps, but because I remember a version of myself that would heavily relate to this song, and because of that, I can find value in it a little bit more than if there was no past connection to it at all. We're in the midpoint, which you can really only have when you have an odd number of tracks on an album. Track number 7, and then I'm gonna go eat some dinner. First, before I eat, let's hear robot voices. Let's just listen to some robot voices and whatever that sounds like. Ooh, those are okay. A little discordant. Ooh, interesting. Ooh, is that also that stringed instrument? Is that also a tuned ukulele? Ooh, I like the feel of this one. It's much more hopeful than the past tracks have been. Ooh, all right, there's the bass. Is that I think that's like that feels like a bass synth rather than the guitar. Okay.
The robots and machines in my room.
Oh, okay.
And understand.
Ooh, that guitar. Okay.
The only advice I take the inside.
Ooh, okay. A little bit of pitch correction there. Alright. Okay, nice. Alright. Alright. Oh, I love that fill. Ooh. Nice. That's a cool rhythmic scheme. Big fan of that. What are these robots? Huh. This feels a lot more like a Scaled and Icy song, which, you know, it's generally not very many people that would say Scaled and Icy is their favorite album. I know you're out there. I see you as you were. You're fine. I disagree, but you're allowed to stay. But the vibes are very, very feeling Scaled and Icy. A little bit more bounce to them, a little bit shinier. Maybe that's just because it's about robots. But a noted change of vibe than what we've been hearing so far. I really like that sort of offbeat snare hit pattern there. It's quite neat. Okay, what do we got?
When I met you, I found you safe and warm, and the robot voices would reassure me.
Ooh. Nice. Okay. Robot voices. It has not become clear to me what the robot voices are. This song apparently seems to be a bit of a collaboration between 21 Pilots and the band Blanket Approval. Shane, one of the co-writers of the song, said the original demo of the original song was recorded in Logic by me in late 2021 in Brooklyn for the band Buffo House. Okay. Buffo House broke up and became Blanket Approval. Blanket Approval recorded the song My Soft Spots, My Robots. Then Tyler found that song and interpolated it, hence multiple writers. Sort of bio says During early album listening events, Tyler revealed that this song was originally made by blanket approval. He happened upon them randomly online and loved the song, but wished the bridge was the chorus. Okay. He reached out to the band and asked to mess around with the song, resulting in a collab between the two. Tyler further stated that he and the band would receive splits of the record, as well as setting them up with a publisher for their music. Nice! That's cool. I love it when bands work together on stuff. I love that that songwriting and art making doesn't have to be insulated into the people that first come up with the ideas for it. You know, you can come up with the ideas and decide that it could use an outside voice on it. And maybe that means having a featured artist on your track. Maybe it just means acknowledging that this is kind of a two-band song. Maybe this is a song that has two band parents. Came from two different brains, or it came from one brain and then another brain came along and was like, hey, I got some ideas, and now it's a different song because of two sources of inspiration. I think that's very cool. Let's take a look at these lyrics. Verse 1, they keep me company, the robots and machines in my room, and understanding the beeps and tones they make, the only advice I take, the inside jokes are landing. Now I'm waiting for the changes everyone sees, feeling so fancy. Okay, so maybe the robots and machines are in fact just electronics and the internet. Perhaps as an artist, the only like sort of inspiration input that you're taking when you're songwriting is whatever you're reading or looking at online in whatever circles you're in. So those are the beeps and tones that they make. You're taking those in. The only advice you take, these inside jokes are landing, and you're sort of in these maybe echo chambers, but maybe not. Now you're waiting for the changes everyone sees, feeling so fancy. I don't know what the feeling so fancy is quite about. And then the pre-chorus, and I just want to dance and stay a while. Dance and style and stay a while. The lines on the floor, how did you find me? Okay. I'm starting to put it together. So, verse 1, we're sort of in this insulated space. We've got our circles of influence, and we're not really looking outside of those things. You're taking in the inside jokes, and your sphere of influence is very small and isolated and contained. You're just sort of vibing out with that. You're just sort of hanging out in that space, following the lines on the floor, you know? Just following your set courses, these grooves that you've made in the road naturally by habit. Then the question, how did you find me? There's this second person that's introduced that has just sort of found this person, and it's unclear how, because it seems that this person came out of nowhere. This person is not part of these outside of these insular circles. They've just sort of arrived as a new entity. Then to the chorus, I wasn't looking for love this year, but my robot told me that I shouldn't fear. When I met you, I found you safe and warm. Then the robot voices would reassure me. So maybe, yeah, this is talking about like meeting a person that has no prior connection to whatever community you're a part of, but the community that you are a part of gives you this message of, hey, when you meet a new person and they're not like the people that you tend to spend time with, that's not necessarily the worst thing. Because when you meet them, they seem safe and warm, and you decide the robot voices will reassure you. And that's great. If the online communities that you're in are supportive and encouraging for you to step outside your comfort zone, there's some good circles. Just because they're online doesn't mean that they're bad. Verse 2. The half-drawn blinds casting lines on the floor. as my metal friend flashes in time, the daisy-chained power strips generating a newfound loneliness. So I'm waiting for the changes everyone sees, feeling so fancy. So back into this isolation. Maybe we're in the production studio. Maybe we're making some music. The half-drawn blinds casting lines on the floor. So we've heard this image of the lines on the floor, but they're being made by these half-drawn blinds. So you're limiting the amount of sunlight that's coming into the room, and that isolation, that lack of sunlight and the isolation implied by that is what's then creating these lines on the floor that you continue to follow as you're working on your stuff, and you're sort of keeping to your own daisy-chained power strips, referring to when you connect one chord to another chord and so on, just to get enough range from your chords, and can be a bit of a risky way of doing things. And that daisy chain, that's sort of looping together of the same things into the other thing, creating a newfound loneliness, which then loops back into just want to dance in style and stay a while, lines on the floor, how did you find me? And it doesn't really go much further into that, so I guess we might just be talking about this magical singular moment of someone breaking through that isolation and those commonly grooved patterns and making a splash in your life. Well, I guess it wouldn't be Tyler's wife, because Tyler didn't originally write the lyrics, but maybe that's what Tyler connected with when he heard the song and proceeded to help write the rest of it. That's what I got on that one. I'm gonna take a break and come back to this tomorrow, and then we'll finish out the album. But no time will have passed for you. You know the drill. I've done this before. See you in a moment.
Tomorrow.
And I'm back. Yes, I got a different shirt. It's the next day. I've cleaned up my facial hair. We don't care about continuity around here. Continuity's not. Track 8, center mass. Are we talking about like the actual like physics, like physical mass, or are we talking about like a Catholic church service? Ooh, starting out a little, sounding a little jazzy almost. Okay. Okay.
A little softer than I used to be. Used to mouth off often with artillery. Now his cough drops in soft spots in the middle seat.
Alright, we're flowing today.
Chivalry. A tighter space than I used to know. Spread out wide no more. Pinch my shoulders close. Hoping they misplace my reservation. Okay. I know.
With the background vocals. That's fun.
Well, I pull on my shirt sleeve to cover half of my hands. Bring my arms closer to my body. Get as small as I can. They call it center mass.
They call it that. Gotcha.
Aim for, shrink it down to nothing and forgetting what the pain's for. Shrink it down to nothing and forgetting what the pain's for. That part they aim for.
Oh, we're going on a double time breakdown. Okay. Getting a little punky with it. Very good.
Found out what I'm worth. I run to you. I hope you understand this run-on sentence. Tattoos only hurt when meaning fades. I think my skin got worse with good intentions. I don't wanna say what happened. I just wanna let it go. Nothing was the same right after. I went to the funeral. I miss you so much.
They call it center mass, that part they aim for. That part they aim for. That part they aim for. That part they aim for.
Interesting. A lot of that was, I was just sort of sitting and vibing out. Didn't have a whole lot of strong thoughts, but that last section, from the breakdown down to the end of the song, that really gave me some things to think about. Center Mass finds Tyler Joseph reflecting on vulnerability, loss, and the pressure to make himself smaller in the face of pain. The title refers to the part of the body most often targeted in combat, turning it into a metaphor for feeling exposed and under attack. Blending militaristic language with intimate self-reflection, the track embodies Breach's exploration of fragility and resilience. Gotcha. Right, the fragility of like always feeling weak and all, and sort of in this constant state of like failing, falling down, and then picking yourself back up, or getting picked back up and keeping on going. That's definitely been prevalent so far in the album. Okay, let's take a look. I'm gonna take a look at the breakdown lyrics first, and then we're gonna kind of move on from there, because the breakdown seems to have a lot of what the song is really about. Like the chorus is tends to be what the song is about, but I think breakdown gets into some specifics that really break it open. So found out what I'm worth. I run to you. I hope you understand this run-on sentence. My tattoos only hurt when meaning fades. I think my skin got worse with good intentions. I don't want to say what happened. I just want to let it go. Nothing was the same right after I went to the funeral. I miss you so much. Take what you want. Take what you want from me. Took you for granted. So there's a lot of pain in there. Tattoos only hurt when meaning fades. The meaning of the tattoo, like he sometimes struggles with reminding himself of his tattoos when he feels like he's forgotten what they're about. Like he often has these sort of painful reminders when he forgets what the tattoos mean, and then says, I think my skin got worse, probably a reference to getting the tattoos with good intentions. So like he's sort of like, I don't always remember what my tattoos are for, but I know that I got them for a good reason. I don't want to say what happened, I just want to let it go. Nothing was the same right after I went to the funeral. Maybe they have something to do with death. There's a lot of death to be found in 21 Pilots' music. Something may have happened that affected Tyler in a very particular way that he doesn't necessarily want to talk about it. He just kind of wants to keep moving, which is fair. I get that. Moving on to the chorus. I pull on my shirt sleeve to cover half of my hands. Bring my arms closer to my body, get as small as I can. They call it center mass, that part they aim for. Shrink it down to nothing and forgetting what the pain's for. And then the second half is the same thing, except for I pull on my shirt sleeve to cover half my face. So this might be referring to, I don't know, maybe when Tyler's having a bad brain day, as I like to call it. And if you're feeling really bad, something that I also tend to do, if I'm feeling really, really down on myself, then your natural instinct often is to kind of shrink up and to kind of like hug your knees into your chest and cover up this area, which would then be referred to as center mass. Try and like cover it up and forget that it's there. Forget that source of pain is there and try and dull it out. It seems like a lot of this song is sort of Tyler talking about how he deals with not just his mental health, but also his relationship and experiences with death and, you know, people dying around him, and the ways that he has tried and maybe sometimes failed to cope. Verse 1 is a little softer than I used to be, used to mouth off often with artillery, now it is cough drops and soft spots in a middle seat, chivalry, a tighter space than I used to know, spread out wide no more, pinch my shoulders close, hoping they misplace my reservation. Yeah, so maybe just the impact that grief and depression and death has had on Tyler, of it's changed sort of who he is and how he interacts with the world and how he sees himself. He's perhaps used to be a lot more boisterous, a lot more maybe arrogant, as implied by the used to mouth off often with artillery. And now he's, you know, taking care of himself, cough drops, soft spots in a middle seat, tighter space than he used to know. So now he's feeling a little bit more closed in, and he's taking up less space than he used to the point where he's kind of hoping that he doesn't want to be an inconvenience anymore. He's kind of hoping that they just misplace his reservation so that he doesn't have to take up that space anymore. And I think sometimes it makes sense to just kind of write a song that's just like about a certain state of being. 21 Pilots are not the only ones to do that. That's a very popular sort of songwriting approach, is to just sort of take an experience or an emotional state that's particularly memorable and write about that. It doesn't have to have solution, doesn't have to have and the moral of the story is you actually should do this about it. It's just, this is how I feel sometimes, and this is what I do about it, and this is sort of how it comes about, and the impact that it's had on my life. And I think just putting that down in song form that you can enjoy and kind of sit and nod your head to can be enough of a connective experience that people that have had similar experiences can find comfort in that. Moving on to track 9, Cottonwood. What's the deal with Cottonwood? Is it cotton? Is it wood? Make up your mind. I don't know, man. Ooh. Sad piano. Sad piano. Okay. Sad drums.
Chopped you down. Thought you'd just fall in the woods, but she heard that sound. No, I don't remember last we spoke. No, I don't remember. I look back in time.
Okay, get building up a bit.
I've been catching my reflection already looking. You tore me up more than you know.
Just realizing that this song particularly kind of reminds me of Hayley Williams' most recent stuff. Just like the pacing and a lot of the melody work. It's kind of there's a lot of parallels there.
I look back in time through a telescope. I've been catching my reflection already looking.
Well, there's always at least one just straight up sad song in a 21 Pilots album, and we found it. Tyler Joseph said Cottonwood was written about his late grandfather, who passed away earlier this year. He added that it was one of his favorite trees. It says, I like it for the little white things it drops once a year. So yeah, it's a Dead Grandpa song, which makes a lot of sense reading back and just sort of looking back. But also the chorus, which is, I look back in time through a telescope. I've been catching my reflection already looking, which is a cool reflection in to make. Look back in time through a telescope, which makes, I guess, sense, because when you're looking through a telescope, you're like, the stars that you're looking at, that light has already passed from whatever star was shining. Like, that light has traveled for a very, very long time over a very great distance. So the star that light would have come from is already long gone by the time we see the light from it. I've been catching my reflection already looking. So looking back on his memories of his grandpa, he's already, like, Tyler is maybe getting to the age where he's starting to see some of himself in his grandpa. Personally, I think is a very comforting thought. It's kind of nice to know that, like, some version of the people that you love that have passed, like some piece of them, some portion of their impact on your life lives on through you. Like, maybe there are certain, particularly for relatives, maybe you look a little bit similar, or maybe you have similar mannerisms, and so you can kind of see the people that have left your life still within you. I think there's something very special about that. First one is the verse that sort of, both verses, I guess, use the tree imagery. Verse 1, can't believe you're gone for good. Someone chopped you down, thought you'd just fall in the woods, but she heard that sound. No, I don't remember last we spoke. And then verse 2, most are blown down in a storm, but the wind was tame. You weren't waiting anymore. Were you sad or brave? No, I don't condemn you. Back and forth. No, I don't condemn you. Verse 1 sort of saying, just sort of dealing with, like, still can't believe that you're gone. A fall in the woods. I wonder if maybe he, like, had, like, a fall, like his grandpa, like, fell and injured himself and ended up in the hospital, and it was just sort of a downhill process from there. That can be very common for, older folks. And so this may have been a very sudden death of, like, oh no, he's had a fall, he's now in the hospital, we don't know what's going to happen, and then he does end up dying, and that can come as quite a shock. And now he's kind of thinking, I don't remember the last time we spoke. Like, we didn't get to have, like, that last conversation. I remember on the album Trench, it was Legend, where Tyler notes that, like, he's gonna be busy making that album and that his grandpa would pass before he would be able to hear this song about him, which is its own heartbreaking situation. But then verse 2, most were blown down in a storm, but the wind was tame. So you weren't waiting anymore. Were you sad or brave? Maybe his grandpa had a moment where he kind of decided that he was ready to go. He was done, and just sort of decided that was going to be the end. Whether it was medically assisted or he just stopped putting in the effort to keep things going, he decided, I think I'm ready to go. We see a bit of Tyler processing the fact that that may have been a choice that his grandpa made, and how he feels about the fact that this person close to him made the choice to go rather than try and keep living as long as possible, and lands on the no, I don't condemn you, which makes sense considering all of the music that 21 Pilots has made in an effort to destigmatize and empathize with people that have depression and have suicidal thoughts. It's very humanizing, the fact that Tyler still has to do a little bit of processing, still has to do a little bit of no, I don't, no, I have to. He has to tell himself, no, I don't condemn you, because there would still be a lot of loaded emotions in that situation. But it's nice to sort of hear him say to himself, no, I don't condemn you. I get it. The fact that the bridge is just repeating the line, you tore me up more than you know, that tears me up. When you have a bridge that like forgoes like eloquence and wordiness just to say the sad thing, oh, that hits way harder than any like fancy language ever will. 9 times out of 10. Just say the sad thing in its bluntest form, and you'll get me feeling, at least. Ripperoni to a real legend, Tyler Joseph's grandpa, Mr. Joseph. Let's keep moving. Track number 9, One Way. My brain keeps filling in that title with or another, but it's just one way. It's just one way. I keep, every time I say it, I'll say out loud one way, and then in my brain will be like, oh no. I'm gonna have to stop myself from doing that, so I'm just gonna listen to the song. Ooh, those are some weird synths. Okay. Oh, did you? Okay. That bass line has got a little bit of Tame Impala feel to it. There's a lot of space in this one. Bit of tuning down, okay.
Me and my scene just ain't gelling. Someone next to me keeps yelling.
This also sounds a lot like could be a Haley Williams song. Ooh, that's a fun little line to belt out there. That was a fun little bass transition there.
Hey, it's Josh.
Hi, Josh.
I'm not opposed to One Way going into Days Lie Dormant.
Okay.
But it does feel like quite a vibe change.
All right, we're gonna wait for that vibe change. I'm not opposed to a vibe change either. But we're gonna hold on. About section says, One Way captures the struggle between ambition and limitation. Tyler frames his desire to fly against warnings of a system coming in, a metaphor for outside pressures or inner doubts, shutting down freedom. Okay, alright. But I see how that could be read that way. The verses reflect on lost dreams and fading inspiration, while the bridge highlights feelings of alienation from his surroundings. I guess that's one way of reading it. My initial reactions to it were this is just Tyler Joseph sort of externalizing his own feelings on his time in the band. Verse 2. Me and my scene just ain't gelling. Someone next to me keeps yelling, why am I still walking? Something must be wrong here. I just don't belong here. To me, is about like Tyler no longer feels like a part of the demographic that his music is bringing in, which makes a lot of sense. Tyler's, how old is this guy? He's got to be at least in his like late 30s. Dude's 36 and has kids, and he makes music for like depressed young adults and teenagers, I would say, or at least that seemed to be the fan base when I was first getting into them. I feel like maybe aesthetically too, Tyler might not be just fitting in here. Like maybe he just feels like he doesn't belong in the music that he's been making. I personally read this as maybe he's thinking, maybe I've got one more. Maybe this is a one way, and I'm not coming back. That's usually what one way means, is you're not coming back. Obviously, 21 Pilots has been known to take lengthy hiatuses. They take long breaks between certain albums. They didn't take one between this album and Clancy, but the time between Trench and Scaled and Icy was pretty hefty. The time between Scaled and Icy and Clancy was definitely longer. Maybe he's just getting to the point where he's like, I don't really know what kind of music I'm making. I don't know if I connect with the music that is being asked of me. Like, I'm making music for people that I don't really relate to in a lot of like cultural ways. Yeah, like both like me and the About section, I think, share a note of like fading inspiration, of like maybe his brain just isn't in the space to be writing what people expect from 21 Pilots. Maybe that's part of the reason why he finally closed out the Clancy narrative. It's because he's only got so much juice left in him, which is fair. They've been doing this for like a little over a decade, up to 15 years? 14 years? That's a long time to be in a band. And I don't think anyone would be super surprised at this point if he decided that maybe he's only got one more in him. It would be sad, but, you know, I think it would be a perfectly valid choice. I'm sure there are plenty of other things that he would love to be doing. He's got a lot of skills. Maybe he wants to put more into, like, story writing. I don't know. It's entirely his choice, but I am definitely getting a vibe of this song being Tyler's way of saying, I don't know how much time I've got left with the band. But I guess we'll find out. Let's get that vibe change here with Days Lie Dormant. They sure dang do. Those dang days lie dormant. Ooh. Oh, that is a vibe change. Wow. Okay. Wow. That's this is a very happy sounding song.
You say I should chase it.
Okay, Tyler.
Never say no.
Oh, that's fun.
Too tired, somewhere you can follow. Yeah,
Oh.
say with your face something that's all together. My days lie dormant, 'cause I just can't afford it to waste time in a city where no one knows your name. My days lie dormant, 'cause I just can't afford it to waste my time inside a place you're not. Don't make me waste my love. It's everything I've got.
Aw, that's cute. Ooh. Is that whistling? Or is that just a really high synth? It sounds like whistling.
You say don't worry about me though. Don't make me waste my love. It's everything I've got.
Ooh. Okay, a piano in a room.
My days lie
Oh.
dormant, frozen and distorted.
Oh, it becomes a ballad.
Robbed of my momentum and suspended in the air.
Very nice.
My days lie dormant. It's feeling less.
Oh, this is starting to feel like some old school 21 Pilots.
Waste my time inside
And we're
a place
building.
you're not. Don't make me waste my love. It's everything I've got.
Nice. Some hits. Ooh. I like those hits. And then back into it. That's fun.
Waste time in the city where no one knows your name. Don't make me waste my love. It's everything I've got.
Ooh, slowing it down at the end. Okay. Oh, I like that one. Alright, so just like every 21 Pilots album has a sad piano song, we also get a Tyler's Wife song. And this is the Tyler's Wife song of this album. And ooh, what a banger it is. Tyler's Wife songs of past include Tear in My Heart, one of their big ones. From Trench, they had Smithereens, which is very, very cute, very uke-centered. And now we've got this much more punky, up-tempo, up volume one. And each song, as love songs often do, take different angles at one's relationship, how one feels about the person. And in this particular case, this one seems to say, all of these days that I'm spending away from you feel like wasted times. Like I could be spending these days with you, but instead I'm just sitting here. The chorus is, my days lie dormant, 'cause I just can't afford it to waste time in a city where no one knows your name. Does those lines again, but to waste my time inside a place you're not. Don't make me waste my love. It's everything I've got. My days where I have to like live apart from you in maybe a different city because I'm working on something, it feels like it's a waste of time. I don't like being in a place where people don't know about you and know how amazing you are. I feel like I'm wasting my love, and it's everything, and that's all I've got. I think Tyler is maybe selling himself a little bit short, but I understand the sentiment. I like verse 2. You say don't worry about me, though it looks so much warmer there, and I should try Topo Chico and get more sun, but you say with your face something else altogether. So he's maybe like having a nice like phone call or video call with his wife, and she's like, it's alright, don't worry about me, it looks so nice over there. Maybe he's in like LA or something. You should try that food place that we don't have here. Maybe you should get a tan, like go have fun. But Tyler's is less paying attention to that and more paying attention to her face, which seems to betray that she does in fact miss him. It's some cute shit. There's kind of a bridge, but it's just, you know, the piano in a room ballad version of the chorus, which is fine. It's fine. If you're gonna have the chorus sound that different, then I guess I'll let you have the chorus as the bridge. But just this once, you're on thin ice, Tyler. Let's keep going. Track 12, Tally. Are we counting things, or is just the first half of the phrase tally-ho? Ooh. Nice. Okay.
I lost my rank and title. I turned my back on it. Sold it all at a discount. I wanted to progress things. I wanted my soul set free. Lost it all at a discount.
Okay.
You and I both know the sound is stored.
There's that trap beat. Very nice. Or more of a break beat, I guess. Nice. Okay, it is a counting tally. Ooh, that's fun. Ooh, I like that synth part.
Lightning strikes right on cue. Like right when a storm hits, I tip, right tip. Circumstantial proof you should go your way. I should try mine, even though we both know we should just cut the line.
That section, okay, so the first verse, I was kind of sitting there and it was reminding me a little bit of Ode to Sleep. Both the sort of the flow style that Tyler was doing and the hits. Everything, it was feeling very Ode to Sleep, which obviously is an older sound of 21 Pilots. Is this second verse feels like they've taken a lot of those same like rhythmic choices and like brought it into their much more recent sound. That was a very cool change up to do. In that second verse. Loved that. Ooh. Okay. Keeping it splashy on the ride. I like how I hate to interrupt Josh's fill there, but I like how like stark the like beginning and end of those synth parts. It was a very interesting sort of feel to it, of just to have that like bam 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 bam, whatever the part was. To kind of like very clearly feel the like beginning and end of those chords. Felt quite cool. There's putting some gravel on it. Alright. Halftime. Alright. Just a little bit of halftime as a treat. Coming back to the hits. Oh, I like that. Very nice. Oh, my goodness. Second last track, and they're still surprising me. Love that for me, specifically. Okay, there's a few ways of going through this. The one that stood out to me was to sort of read this as a song to the audience, to the fan base. You want to tally, I lost the count. You want to love me, I'll let you down. Still now you believe in me somehow. When I replay it in my mind, I see your heartbreak every time. Still now you believe in me somehow. I did see in the about section that this could, if we want to talk about the lore one last time, this does apply to the situation between Clancy and the Torchbearer. It applies to this endless cycle of Clancy ending back up with the bishops and Torchbearer going back in to save them, and this constant struggle of, being saved and then getting taken back and then getting saved, and these two people that have this sort of unbreakable but kind of tragic bond. You could tie that element into it. I'm going to simply not. I'm just gonna not do that. I've acknowledged it. I've acknowledged that you could apply the lore to this song and it would make sense. But I'm gonna leave it there. The bridge is interesting. Somehow I figured you were keeping track of every time. Just figured you were keeping track of every time I let you down. I breached your trust. I let you die. Just figured you were keeping track of every time. You were keeping track. So we get sort of Tyler's, which is showing a little bit of his insecurity and his fear of like losing relevance or just losing favor with his audience. That we're paying as much attention to his shortcomings as he is, which is a very, very common projection, that we're generally not paying it as much attention to each other as we think people are. Like if you're someone that is really, really worried about everyone sort of judging your every move and picking apart everything you say and the way that you say it, bro, we're paying attention to other shit. There's a lot going on in the world, even in our immediate surroundings, that probably didn't notice. Maybe we noticed like one or two things, but we are not, in fact, keeping track. And if you are, that's kind of weird. I don't know if that's healthy. You should maybe stop keeping track of people's failures. That doesn't feel like a healthy way of maintaining a friendship. So, the people that matter are the people that probably aren't paying that much attention to your shortcomings, and the people that are paying attention to your shortcomings are weird and probably shouldn't be taken into account when you're worrying about people's perceptions of you. It may seem that way because you're replaying it in your mind, and you can do that a million times in your head for free. Chances are we're not the ones replaying it in our mind. You're putting in all that work for both of us. So relax is what I'm trying to say. We got we're on the last track. I always do this I take like 45 minutes to talk about the first two songs, and then the second half of the album I just race through. It's not because I don't like these songs. It's that I think I get into a groove where I'm like, I've said these things, I don't think I have to say anymore. So, we're on the last track, number 13, Intentions. We've heard that word used a few times. Let's see what people think about intentions. Got some reversed. Hello.
Starting it all
Sure.
again.
Fair enough.
Did I learn a thing?
Oh, that's nice.
Intentions
The mix of the, like, reverse, I don't know if those are strings or synth or whatever instrument is having its sounds played in reverse, that mixing with the normal piano is a really, really cool, I keep using the word texture, but that's the best word I can think of for it. It's a very cool choice.
Intentions will set you free. Just try to be.
Oh, wow. That's a sudden ending, but interesting. Okay. Learned something very interesting in the about section here. When reversed, the instrumental, the little ooze in the back, and even the vocal melody are revealed to be very similar, if not the same, as Truce, with the sort of like the ooze being the ooh, that little line, which is one of my favorite little melodies that they've made in a song. Taking the melody of the final song of what I guess is now considered the first section of the whole Blurryface arc, and having that be the bookend is a very, very cool poetic decision. I like that they put that in, and it also makes for a little bit easier songwriting if you're like, all right, I know that I want to reuse these melodies and just sort of reformat them into a way that feels kind of new but still weirdly familiar. Like, as soon as I read that it was from Truce, I still didn't quite hear the same melody, because I was like, the main vocal melody is still definitely different than Truce, but it's close enough that when I read that it was meant to be inspired by the same or based on the same melody, I could definitely hear it. So it's echoing back to the melody and thus the themes of Truce, but with some new thoughts and some very, very touching concluding lines. I'll read through the whole thing because it's pretty short. Verse 1, I am starting it all over once again. Did I learn a thing? I guess, again, the last time, I keep saying it's the last time we talk about the lore, but this is the last song on the last album, last song on the last album of the lore, so I can now say, for the last time, we can talk about the lore, starting it all over again, referring to Clancy restarting the cycle, and wondering to himself, have I learned a thing since the last time the cycle reset? Chorus, intentions are everything, intentions will set you free. I would say mostly is true, but I think we get into a little bit more of the nuance on it in the second chorus, but I'll get to that. Verse 2, you will fail most every day in every way. Did you learn a thing? Then the chorus again, intentions lack memory. Intentions will set you free. And then the last line, just try to be. And I think that last line, just try to be, has been sort of a thesis statement for so much of their music, that it feels very appropriate and very poignant to have that be the final 4 words of this whole arc. In the end, after all that we may or may not have learned from this story that we've told, the main thing that you need to take away is that you have to try to be. You will fail most every day in every way, but I think the did you learn a thing in that sense is sort of a rhetorical question. Just because you will fail most every day in every way, just because you're not perfect doesn't mean that you haven't learned, and that there is not hope for the future. Intentions are the thing that keep you going and will help make things better. As long as you have the intention to get better, that's everything. Intentions lack memory is a very interesting line. I feel weird about that line, because intentions lack memory is true in a couple different senses. On one hand, yeah, intentions don't remember what has gone before. I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, if intention doesn't actually lead to change, what has or has not happened might not matter. I don't know. I feel like there's intentions. In my mind, I keep getting the phrase of intentions only get you so far, which is a Paramore lyric. So you can say that you mean to do something, but it does take the doing of the thing to actually make the difference. But intentions are a good place to start. Just try to be, I think, is sort of the superseding thought. I think they are sort of, foregoing a crazy amount of nuance and, a lot of ways that you can get into the meaning of these lyrics in this less than 2.5 minute song. But I think those final thoughts of intentions will set you free, intentions lack memory, just try to be, I think that's a good way to end things. I think that fits. That's a satisfying end there. That's Breach. Again, I don't know how long it's gonna take to get more 21 Pilots. I don't know if we're gonna get more 21 Pilots. Not saying that I don't think we will, but I personally wouldn't be too terribly surprised if given some time so that they can, tour for the album and whatnot. If they get to the end of a long process of having this album out, if they decide that they're either taking a break or they're calling it quits. It's sad, but they've been doing this for a long time, and if Tyler's running out of inspiration, running out of ideas, running out of steam, bro's gotta take care of himself. It's only gonna cause harm if he keeps trying to push himself with nothing in the tank. So, whether this is nearing the conclusion of 21 Pilots overall, hard to say, but it's certainly the end of Blurryface, which is quite a task to end things. Endings are hard, and I think they did it quite well. Thank you for watching this. If you watched the whole thing through, I really, really appreciate that. Let me know what your thoughts are. I can always count on the 21 Pilots fan base to give me their thoughts and their interpretations of songs. Remember to be kind to one another, be patient with one another. This is art, and art can have a multivalence of meaning. So just because you have one interpretation of a song doesn't mean that someone else's is immediately wrong. Hear each other out. But I would love to see people talking about how this album felt to them, and what they think might be in the future for 21 Pilots. If there are other albums that you would like to see me react to, I don't know how many notable albums are going to be coming out before Christmas time. I will be doing a albums of the year stream at some point before I leave for Calgary for New Year's. That is to say that I am taking requests at this time. I don't have a whole lot in my queue other than suggestions that people have sent to me. So let me know, because now's the time of the year to do it. If you have not subscribed to the channel, if you're finding me through this video, welcome. Great to have you here. I do this. I mostly do gaming, but every now and then when the time comes, I do some album reactions. You can check out the ones that I've done. I've been doing these for about 2-ish years, maybe 3, I think, at this point. And I enjoy doing them, and plan on doing them for as long as I've got the gas for it. If you like the video, you can click the button for that. If you want to support the channel in a monetary fashion, because these videos being videos where I am going to play some of the music, these are going to get demonetized almost guaranteed. So if you want to support me in that way, you can head to my Fourth Wall site where I've got memberships. I've got some merch up there. I gotta refresh the merch. I'll work on it. You can make a one-time donation if that's more your thing. Anything and everything is hugely appreciated and will be acknowledged in the next album reaction video. So, other than that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.